you doing, guys? It's Nelson Figueroa alongside Mickey Callaway, Dave Eiland. We're going to be talking pitching and how essential it is for the team's success. So let's get right down into it. Just wanted to talk about pitching inside. Is it a key to winning ball games?
Very important. I mean, you have to command the fastball to both sides of the plate, and most importantly, you have to command the ball inside off the plate. I mean, you're going to come in there for strikes at times, but hitters have to know that you're going to come in there off the plate deep. For effect, a lot of times it can really open up down and away. I mean, you see a lot of times how hitters will have 10, 11, 12 pitch at bats or diving out over the plate, fouling balls off, diving out, fouling good pitches off. If they would have come in off the plate early in the count, you wouldn't get that deep in the account.
Are you a fan of the body armor?
Not at all. I'm a fan of trying to crack it.
Yeah, that's what I like. See, that's a beautiful thing, because with all the body armor that's been introduced in the game and everybody wearing it, that to me is the key element of success, opening up that strike zone for those nasty breaking balls on the outside part of the plate. Your success in Cleveland, I'm sure you've seen a lot of that, and it's essential to the game of pitching inside.
It really is. You know, I think it just gives that pitcher another dynamic that they can go to, especially when they don't have their best stuff that day. When you don't have your best stuff, you have to pitch inside even more for effect, like Dave said. So you get away with those hanging breaking balls and the pitches that you don't quite get away. So if you're just tacking it down and away, down and away, down and away, you make a mistake, it gets hammered. But if you're pitching down and away, showing them off the plate, up and in, going back down and away, you get away with that mistake, and it's a pop-up instead of a homer.
Music to my ears, I'll tell you that. Favorite pitcher growing up?
Oh, gosh. There's a lot. I go as far back as Tom Seaver. Remember him a little bit as a kid. Mario Soto, the Reds used to train right there in Tampa, and I was just a few miles down the street from their complex there. And as I grew older, there were other guys that I was around that I played with. Ron Guidry, Tommy John, Brett Saberhagen. So it's just, and then guys that I eventually played with or coached. But gosh, we could sit here all day long and tell you about the pitchers that I admired.
Yeah, probably the two that I looked at the most and looked up to the most were Nolan Ryan and Greg Maddux. They were total opposites, and I liked just watching Nolan Ryan go after guys, just fearlessness, and then Greg's ability to, use every pitch to his advantage and move the ball around and attack both sides of the plate. So, I thought it was a kind of a yin and yang of pitching, and it was really fun to watch those guys.
Oh, I remember it well. That was kind of my favorite as well. Greg Maddux, his ability to do more with less. I think that's something that is a lost art for sure in today's game. Toughest batter you ever faced?
Mo Vaughn. I mean, when he stood
Not even a half a second.
It was like, I didn't know what to do. He stood over the plate, he's hanging out over the plate, and he's got all that armor on. I was like, oh, I have nowhere to go. I'm in trouble. So I just threw it way off the plate away and walked.
Dave? Frank Thomas.
By
far. Frank stood way off the plate. If you wanted to come in on him, you had to come in off the plate. And he had such an awareness of the strike zone. You couldn't get him to bite and swing at those balls in off the plate. And he was a diver with those long arms. You could make a good pitch, on the outside corner or off the plate, and he could still get to it. So I was like Mickey. I was just trying, maybe, if he would chase something below the zone or above the zone. If not, we'd just let him
keep it moving, right? So coming over, both of you guys, from the American League to the National League, what's the toughest adjustment you think you have to make? Or is there an adjustment?
Well, I think what's going to be different for us, obviously, is the pitcher comes to the plate, comes to hit, fifth, sixth innings. It's a close game. Maybe there's a runner on base or a runner in scoring position, and we really would like to have that run. But this guy's controlling the opposing bats very well. So I think that's going to be something that we're going to get right at times and we're going to get wrong at times. But we're used to just running the pitcher out there and letting him go and not having to worry about his at bat coming up and to pinch hit. So that'll be different for us. But we're already starting to think about that and talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, Dave's right. I mean, I think that's the part that we're a little unfamiliar with. I think as far as attacking hitters and what you're going to preach to a pitcher to go out there and get hitters out, if it works in the American League, it's going to work better in the National League. So none of that changes. We just have to, make sure that we're preparing our pitchers to go out there and hit and stay healthy. And that's something we're not as familiar with.
Most likely, you're probably going to have to convert a guy from a starter to a reliever. What are your feelings upon that and any experience with that? I know you had Wade Davis there with you for a little while. Talk about maybe that experience you had.
Well, I think, you have to do it sooner rather than later for a couple of reasons. Obviously, you have to condition that pitcher, condition his body, his arm, and most importantly, condition his mind. He's used to being in his every 5-day routine of going out there and doing things, and now you have to condition him to, pitch every other day, 3 out of 4, 4 out of 6, whatever the case may be. And also, he has to get comfortable with it mentally. So, in a perfect world, our five starters will rise up and show who they are early, and then the ones we have to move to the bullpen, we can move. But it may go down closer to the end than we would like. So we're going to have to keep our eye on that and do what's best for the individual and best for the team.
Now, we've all had to do it. We went from starters to relievers, back and forth. So do you think it's harder physically or mentally to make that adjustment for a first-time guy?
Oh gosh, that just depends on the individual. Some guys take to it. Right. Some guys take to it right away and they embrace it, and other guys it takes a little bit longer. So I can't sit here and say it's one over the other. I think it's based on the individual.
Yeah, you have to pay attention to both. Some guys might not bounce back very good after they pitch in the game. And if he's been a starter his whole career, asking him to go out there and do that is going to change the routine. It's going to be a little stressful at first. And then the mindset of a reliever is a little bit different. And, I think right away if, hey, this guy has the makeup that it takes to go and relieve as well. And it seems like all of our guys have that makeup where, hey, we put him in a pen, we know he's going to go out there and attack. So it's a tough decision. And like Dave said, we have to make it sooner rather than later. The problem is all of our pitchers are good enough that they're going to make us make a tough decision, and they're going to pitch well probably deep into spring training. So we're going to have some tough decisions to make at some point.
Rapid fire session here, and this is just quick off the top of your head and might not be as easy as you think. So got to pitch to Barry Bonds. How do you get him out? Go.
Intentional base on balls.
Yeah, that's right. You walk them and they get a double play.
Greg Maddux said that, how do I get Barry Bonds out? I get everybody else out. Don't have to worry about Barry. Having to get out, Bryce Harper. Go.
How are we going to get out Bryce Harper? Mm-hmm. Oh, boy.
Don't need the whole game plan.
Just make good pitches. I think that, we're not going to fear anybody. We get just as good a stuff as anybody. And if we make good pitches, we're going to get outs.
Mike Trout.
Well, Mickey and I know Mike a little bit, know his profile for the American League, and I think that I'm not going to sit here and say we had great success against Mike, but we know where we can go. We know where we can go with Mike. But if you miss just by a fraction of an inch, he's going to get you. So
that's right.
We're going to have a plan. But like Mickey said, we're going to attack him. But to sit here and tell you how we're going to go about it, I don't think I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
Now, in today's game, this is a guy, Babe Ruth. How could you pitch to him, you think?
Ooh, I guess he would be the Barry Bonds case. You just walk him and get everybody else out.
So you can't fear the walk, right?
That's right.
There's a time for a walk, and there's a time to challenge guys. So, of course, I think that's one of the key things. Now, you guys are coming out of the bullpen. What would be your walkout song and why?
Whew. Shoot, when we were playing, we didn't have walkout songs.
No, we didn't have walkout songs. I don't think anybody through 88 gets a walkout song.
Yeah. They might want to play something for walking out of the stadium.
Yeah, exactly. True story. I tell you what, guys, I appreciate you guys coming up here, taking a moment out with myself and the rest of the fans, getting to know you guys a little bit better. Hear some of the philosophies, pitching philosophies, and I think the Mets pitching staff are in some good, very, very capable hands, and I'm excited for the rest of the spring. So best of luck. Thank you guys for coming out.